Welcome to Teed Up Sports Podcast, your new go-to pod for sports, entertainment, culture, and humor. Today on Teed Up, we recap the Monday Night Football games, preview the Panthers Bucs on Thursday night, as well as the Sunday slate of games. I'm Brock, and I'm teed up. We are on our 27th episode of Teed Up Sports. It's been a good run. We got Week 2 NFL today. But first, man, we got to talk about the Monday Night Football games that were absolutely crazy. But, I mean, let's just start it off right away. I mean, Texans-Saints, this game was absolutely crazy. The Texans got a big lead early. Saints kind of pulled, typical Saints home comeback where they eventually take the lead. Drew Brees was being a magician. He threw a pick in the red zone, wasn't the end zone, but Texans were up, I think 14-3, ended up getting another touchdown in the second half, but eventually it really just came down. The Saints were up 6, and the Texans, they had a minute left. They had to work their magic. I was content. I had the +7. I wasn't worried about a thing. Was just hoping the Texans don't throw a pick 6. Texans actually end up scoring a touchdown with literally a minute left on the clock. Just quick 50-yard pass to DeAndre Hopkins and then another 50-yard pass to Kenny Stills. Went absolutely insane, and they got a touchdown. So Texans were up 1, 40 seconds left. They got it so quick. It was literally insanely quick. And the Saints, they just had to do something. They had to do something quick. It looked like they were going to lose, though. Malik was actually on FaceTime with one of his friends, making fun of the Saints. And, before we know it, they're in the field goal range. So, I mean, it really just happened so quick. And Bill O'Brien, there was a minute left, or 45 seconds left. Dude's out here playing prevent defense versus the Saints, Then they got into the 40-yard range, ended up kicking a 58-yard field goal to win it. And, man, if you didn't see this game, I would just recommend YouTubing the highlights right now because this was probably the best game of football all week. We saw a lot of entertaining, just passing, and everyone in the first week of the NFL, the first half was slow. Defenses looked good. A lot of games were just low scoring, but this was actually a real entertaining primetime football game. But, man, I feel bad for Deshaun Watson because, he was just getting absolutely crushed. That O-line did not look good at all, and, he went to the medical tent twice in, the first half alone, and it was just not looking good for him. But, I mean, that dude's a magician. He was pulling stuff out of his ass. He was looking insanely good, throwing dots to DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins actually had, 2-3 drops.
Yeah, the first half he had 2 drops. That's kind of crazy. And before the game, he posted an IG post saying his goals for the season, it was 0 drops. And then you dropped 2 balls the first game. Come on, man.
And he was also saying he wanted to break, the receiving yards record. I mean, so he's on a good start for that. I think he had 150 yards or something first game. He was
111 yards, 2 touchdowns,
yards.
only 8 receptions.
He was just killing it. I mean, that dude's a beast, even with the drop. So imagine if he didn't drop it, because he dropped a 50-yard pass too. On top of that,
the other one was 35 yards.
And it wasn't even Deshaun Watson was throwing bad throws. He just straight up dropped it. But I mean, I wouldn't worry too much about DeAndre Hopkins. But yeah, man, I mean, the Texans, they probably should have won this game, and I won my bet. I wasn't even concerned about that. But they took the lead. They were up 1 with 40 seconds, and Drew Brees, he was just getting dudes wide open. I think he hit Michael Thomas, then Ted Ginn twice, and, I mean, that was that. The Texans, Bill O'Brien, man, me and Malik were just debating this. He was playing prevent defense with 15 – or no, it was actually literally 5 seconds left. They were trying to prevent a touchdown when the Saints only needed a field goal. And had they just thrown an incomplete pass or something or just went for the field goal right away, it would have been a 65-yarder. It would have been insanely far. They end up getting a quick 9 yards, turns it into a 58-yard field goal, which Will Lutz, the kicker for the Saints, eventually makes. And I don't know, man. Bill O'Brien, you can't be confident with him as your coach if he's doing stuff like that.
He didn't have faith in his D.
And, I mean, to be fair, he didn't really need to. They were getting, I wouldn't say torched, but if it wasn't for that big pick in the red zone by Merciless, they would have been in a much worse spot for the rest of the game. That was a huge turning point. Let's get into the Broncos-Raiders game, though. This game was also really entertaining. The Raiders, obviously with all the AB drama, the announcers wouldn't stop talking about it. Every single second, they look good without Antonio Brown. The Raiders, they kind of put a little statement out for the NFL that they're still a team and that they don't need AB to
They're still a team.
I mean, it's true. They proved that they don't need AB. And granted, it was against the Broncos. You know, the Broncos, that D-line just didn't do anything. Derek Carr didn't get touched once. And also, just Joe Flacco sucks, man. Like,
horrible.
He's just not a good quarterback. He was just missing dudes wide open.
Sheesh.
There's a lot of issues.
He was 21 for 31 with 268 yards.
Carr was doing good, man.
No, that's just Flacco,
bro. Because the last drive he got that touchdown when the Raiders were just giving it to them. Yeah. So that's he kind of stat padded there.
Derek Carr was 22 for 26, 259 yards.
Carr looked amazing.
He missed 4 passes all game. That's insane.
I don't even know if it was necessarily Carr, the O-line, or even the Broncos. Like it's really hard to say. You know, first week you don't know the full story yet.
I think it was Carr because he was getting passes in some tight windows, but it was that defense too. That defense just boosted the offense.
Yeah, the crowd was just going insane, you know, because that's their last game. Well, it's the last opening day in Oakland. Since they're moving to Las Vegas next year, we're going to be losing the Black Hole. The Black Hole was going crazy too. Yeah. The Broncos were at their own 2-yard line or something like that, and the Black Hole was just going berserk, and the defense completely fed off it. They ended up getting a quick 3-and-out because of it. And I mean, shout out to the Raiders, man, because my dad is a Raiders fan. So, you know, he's very passionate about the fan base. I always give him a lot of shit for it. But that was a really fun game to watch. And it was cool to see the Raiders win, you know, because this is a win I would say it was a must-win for them as a team. They really needed some sort of bolstering to get things rolling, you know, without Antonio Brown. They didn't want a bad start on top of that. And John Gruden was insanely happy. You know, he was giving all the fans high fives. Yeah. You know, it was like he won the Super Bowl. And, I mean, he definitely needed that, too, because as a coach, he was just dealing with a lot of shit. Obviously, they had the Hard Knocks thing. So to just get a win and pull it off against a division rival, that's exactly what the Raiders needed, and they got it. Let's get into this Thursday night game, though. Panthers Bucs. Malik, you got a best bet on the Panthers. So how you feel about this game?
I definitely think the Panthers are gonna. This is gonna be an easy game for them. We've seen Tampa, they're not a good team. It might not even be that. It's Winston. Winston's not a good QB, which he turns the game into shit. So I'm not worried about this at all. I got the Panthers D starting in fantasy. I'm hoping Winston throws 2 picks, which is not absurd. He can definitely do it.
Or just a pick 6.
Or a pick 6. He might fuck around and fumble. I'll take anything. You know, I just need anything. But Panthers winning this, no doubt.
Yeah, you had a tough Monday night game. So Malik had, I think he was down 1 point. He had Philip Lindsay versus, I don't know why he spells it. It's Lindsay, but he spells it Lindsay. Yeah, they got it.
They did not feed him the ball.
They didn't.
Jesus, bro. And I don't know why. When he got the ball, whenever he had holes, he would get through the holes, no problem. Get a quick 15 yards. But I mean, that line wasn't really giving him a lot of options. They would have Freeman in. He wouldn't do shit either. So it's what are you doing? Just start Lindsey, bro. He's.
Nah, they like Royce Freeman a lot. I don't understand why. I don't understand why either. But I mean, hey, that's Vic Fangio for you. And Luke, a guy in our fantasy league, he had Emmanuel Sanders, who
didn't do shit all game
until he got
I was up touchdown. 1 point until the fourth quarter, and then the fourth quarter he had 2 catches in a row, and it was just over.
But yeah, I mean, was it Curtis Samuel, the other receiver for the Broncos? That's his name. Not Curtis Samuel. Cortland Sutton. Yeah, Cortland Sutton. I don't know. I keep getting them confused. I did that earlier too.
Sutton was bugging out.
Cortland Sutton had a really good game. He was looking good. And Joe Flacco. I mean, you got to give even more credit to Sutton for this because Flacco looked horrible.
Yeah.
All game. He wasn't even throwing to open guys. Passes were way off target. And I mean, granted, he didn't really play that much preseason. But still, you gotta make some open throws. And the Broncos traded for this guy. It's not like they just signed him off the waivers. They literally traded for him. So I don't know. But yeah, back to the Panthers Bucs. I'm curious to see how Christian McCaffrey does because I was kind of low on Christian McCaffrey. I thought last year was a fluke fantasy wise. Obviously he's good. You know, he's a good running back, and that team is just dynamic as hell with Cam and whatnot. You know, you don't know who's going to run the ball and when, but you know, we got to see how Christian McCaffrey does. The Bucs actually have a decent D-line. They were getting to Garoppolo a little bit, but Winston kind of put them out of that game single-handedly. So
I think McCaffrey's going to have a repeat of last week.
2 TDs?
Yeah. I mean, McCaffrey's a beast, bro. McCaffrey is a beast. You know who McCaffrey reminds me of?
Uh-oh.
Now, I'm not holding him to this standard. I'm not saying he's like him, but Le'Veon Bell, bro, he's like a receiving back. McCaffrey, Bell is like the best receiving back, or was. Who knows if he still is? We haven't seen him play yet. We've seen him play 1 week when he got that touchdown. But McCaffrey's a receiving back. He can catch the ball, get you yards, run the ball, get you yards. Like, McCaffrey's he's a threat.
Let's actually get into the Jets a little bit, because the Jets, they got like a plethora of injuries right now.
Falling apart early.
So Sam Darnold's not going to play week 2, and it's possible that he misses even more weeks because he has mono. And if you don't know, like, everyone's had mono when they were like in 8th grade after like kissing people at the hockey rink, like that's when you get mono. So I don't know. He's too old to be getting mono, but he's going to be missing like 3-4 weeks. Le'Veon Bell is questionable to play. It's looking like he might not play, actually, because he had a couple injuries he's facing right now. Quinnen Williams, the first, was he the second overall pick?
Second.
He's going to be missing some time as well. He's going to be missing this next week.
Quincy.
The guy from the Ravens that they got, I literally just forgot his. Oh, C.J. Mosley. C.J. Mosley. I think he is going to play, but he's having some issues. And then Quincy Enunwa, he's done for the season. So
he's good.
He's good. Yeah, he's very good. And that's Sam Darnold's favorite target too. Like last year, he was always throwing it to Enunwa. So if you're a Jets fan, man, it's already tough that you guys like choked to the Bills.
Yeah.
But
now you're losing your whole team.
Yeah.
Week 2.
And it's not even like they're just losing like guys.
Yeah.
Like they're losing the stars of the team.
They're losing like key factors.
So if you're a Jets fan, man, you gotta just feel bad. Like
switch over to the Giants, man. You got time.
Nah, we don't want them.
They don't want.
Honestly, you just gotta wait for football, or not even football, for basketball. That's like your best bet right now, because the Jets just look done. But granted, if they beat the Browns, they got some life. Their backup quarterback is Trevor Siemian, who's not terrible.
He's not far off from
Darnold.
Yeah, he's not.
Like he's okay. Like he was doing all right for the Broncos. Yeah. He can't really throw the deep ball that well, but like. He's gonna do his job. He's not gonna turn the ball over, and that's really all you need. So you're gonna have to see how that goes about. But if they don't have Bell, it's gonna be tough. Let's get into these Sunday games. Though we got a couple good Sunday games on the slate. The actual teams playing each other. This week 1 slate, man, I didn't like it. Like there wasn't really any like good games besides like Patriots Steelers, which didn't end up being a good game. The Texans Saints actually turned out to be an incredible game, but aside from that, there wasn't a lot. It was a lot of just garbage teams playing each other. But we got some really good games. So let's start off with the Seahawks-Steelers. Malik, how do you feel? Like, do you think the Steelers bounced back from this? Was it the Steelers being bad, or was it just the Pats being elite?
Listen, man, I'm low on the Steelers. I don't think they're going to do – Max, you think they're going to the playoffs this year, right? You think
they're going to win division.
Like, they're going to win their division?
Yeah. Pretty easily, too, in my opinion.
Nah, I think Ravens. But I'm low on the Steelers. I just don't have faith in him. Like, Juju is an amazing receiver. He's no Antonio Brown, though.
And they still got
Juju's a little boy. What do you mean? He can't get past nobody.
We got Jarny.
Jarny came out of nowhere.
We got Jarny here. But
Juju is not receiver 2. When Juju is receiver 1, he's a little boy. I'm telling you.
Bro, it was the Patriots. Relax.
What's happening this year?
Bro, all right. So, first of all, they got blown out by the Pats. That was more so the Pats than the Steelers. Like, Steelers just fucked up, I think they could bounce back, but I don't have them winning either. I'm not sold on the Steelers. Big Ben, I think, is... I don't want to say he's overrated, but he's at the point of his career where, like, he's not going to do the shit that we're used to seeing from him. He's going to... Like, last season, he was throwing a lot of picks, bro. And no one was talking about it because it's Big Ben.
Some crucial picks, too.
Yeah, so, like, I think it's going to be the same exact outcome. Now he doesn't have AB, so it's even worse. And, I mean, James Conner's
good.
He's good.
James Conner's
he's
good.
good.
Like, there's nothing you can really say about him. He just wasn't... They were down 17 or 14 nothing.
It's not
so
much
quick.
They could have done, yeah.
Like, they were trying to run with him early, and he was actually getting some yards, but it just didn't matter because at that point, they were just down too big at least at the end of the first half.
This is the game where we're really going to see the Steelers.
Or the Seahawks. I mean, the Seahawks, they started off pretty bad. They barely beat the Bengals. They won by 1 point. And granted, you could just say week 1 blues. But, that defense, they're missing Earl Thomas. You know what I mean? They're missing their guys. They also traded the guy that they traded to the Chiefs. What's his name?
Frank Clark.
Their D-line didn't look good either. Andy Dalton was just getting wide open pass after wide open pass, and the Steelers have a pretty potent offense, especially when they're at home. That Heinz Field, like that's no joke. So, I mean, this is a true test for both teams. Granted, it's only week 2. Can't, dig too deep into it, but both teams are 0-1. Both teams need Seahawks are actually 1-0, but it didn't really look like a win. But, I mean, both these teams need this win. It's crucial for both of them. And I'd say the Steelers, if they don't win this game, they're going to fall behind because the Ravens, they're probably going to win this week too.
Yeah, bro. Ravens going to win the division, bro.
I don't know.
Trust me.
I don't know. We're going to see, though. Let's get into the next game. Vikings-Packers. So last year, the same exact game happened week 3 or 4, and it was probably game of the year. They ended up tying.
It
was really good. I was watching that at work.
It wasn't game of the year.
It was close. They were going back and forth. Kirk and Aaron Rodgers. Kirk Cousins looked like probably the best quarterback at that point. That was the best version of Kirk Cousins. That we've seen. He was just throwing that thing to Adam Thielen. Diggs was getting wide open. They looked incredible. The Vikings looked super good.
Green Bay's defense just looked trash, though, like they always are.
I mean, but this year, I think you could say it's the opposite story, because Aaron Rodgers, he didn't really do good on Thursday Night Football versus the Bears. But granted, the Bears are just a good defense. But this is probably going to be a battle of two good defenses because the Vikings looked incredible week 1 defensively, and the Packers, they got a lot of free agents. They actually spent money on the defense.
Yeah.
Looks like they're starting to clean things up on that side of the ball, which would be a first for Aaron Rodgers. Just never happened in his career. So is this a battle of two good defenses? That's something that we're going to have to see. And Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, Packers are only -3. This is a 50-50 game. We're going to have to see what happens.
Fuck Kirk Cousins.
Jarny, how do you feel about the Vikings-Packers? Do you think Kirk Cousins can pull something out of his hat?
Kirk Cousins this year has a very good defense. I'm liking what I'm seeing from him. If Kirk Cousins can get it together, they have a chance. He has Stephon Diggs. He has Adam Thielen. Dalvin Cook has always been a downhill runner.
What do you mean get it together? What's wrong with that?
We got Kyle Rudolph, who always gets me fucking 3 points on fantasy, but he always seems to do his job. Kirk Cousins just has to get it together, and then I do see the Packers winning this game.
I do too. I think the Packers are just gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
I think the Packers are gonna win too. I just see them just exploding this year, winning 10 games. This is just gonna be the start of it. That Bears game really showed a lot to me because that's a game they usually lose, and the fact that they pulled that out was pretty impressive to me.
Johnny, explain what you mean by get it together. I'm not understanding what you mean.
I always compare Kirk Cousins to Case Keenum.
Yeah,
they're close.
They're everyone always hypes them up at the beginning of the season, and then they go through the season and you just realize wow, these are some mediocre ass quarterbacks.
No, I think Kirk is a good QB though. His line was bad last year.
Still is bad.
How good is Kirk Cousins though?
He's definitely average. He's not above average. He might he's average. He's an average quarterback.
We debate this 8 times a year.
Yeah.
At least. On a
Max
serious
loves
debate.
Kirk. I don't know why.
I do like Kirk Cousins. I think he's above average.
He's not above average, bro. All right, so who would you compare him to? That's above average. A QB that you would compare him to. That's above average.
He's kind of.
Tread carefully, Max.
Yeah, right.
I'm not gonna say something crazy. I honestly would have to think.
He's gonna be like Cam Newton.
Nah, bro. Not even on the same. He's honestly I would say he's different from Cam Newton, but he's equally as effective because Cam Newton throws a lot of picks and Cam Newton has bad games, especially in crucial moments too. But they play football in a different way. I would compare Kirk to He's a better Andy Dalton because we've seen Andy Dalton have is very capable of having good games, but usually just can't win big games.
Yeah, but Dalton's not above average.
He's not above average, but he's better. That's what I'm saying. Kirk Cousins, Andy Dalton's average.
Yeah,
Kirk Cousins
is
better than Andy Dalton. So he's not. Look, he's not top 10.
It's a good comparison,
but he's top 15 in my opinion. And I'm high on Kirk Cousins because a lot of the times when Kirk Cousins loses, it's not his fault directly. Last year, his O-line was just terrible, and that team as a whole was just underperforming, and now they got Dalvin Cook back. Last year they were running Latavius Murray for 2-yard gains, and they're a run-first football team as is. That's who Mike Zimmer is as a coach, and it just doesn't make sense for them to be running Latavius Murray. Now they have an actual running back. I think, like, Kirk Cousins, he's going to have more time in the pocket, number one. And on top of that, if you're a run-first team, usually when you pass, you get more big gains. And we saw for, like, the first, I'd say, like, 7 weeks last year, Kirk Cousins was making good, deep throws. And he's still capable of that. And not a lot of quarterbacks are capable of that. So
that's true.
I'd buy some stock on Kirk Cousins, you know. It's there.
Of course you would.
It's there. Let's go to the Saints-Rams. This is the big NFC Finals preview. You know, the Saints got to redeem themselves from that PI incident because, you know, the Rams kind of got their number as of right now. They went to the Super Bowl. The Saints didn't. You know, granted, Saints fans are never going to forgive that whole PI incident, and they're never going to forgive the refs. We saw it on Monday Night Football. People were dressed up in refs costumes, and, like, they were dressed up as, like, the referee whistle. Like, bro, like, that's... You don't got to do all that. Like, leave the refs alone.
That's a big deal.
And the funny part is the refs kind of tried fucking them over even in that game. They were called in holding on a bunch of penalties and the roughing the kicker call. So, got to feel bad for the Saints. But this is going to be a good game. This is a tough spot for the Saints. I mean, they're traveling all the way from Louisiana to L.A. They got to go play the Rams, who are a dominant football team. And on top of that, they played Monday night. So, it's not like they played at Sunday, the early slate, like the Rams did. They got to, you know, Monday night game, barely any rest. They got to pick up their stuff and get ready for that early start in LA at 1 p.m. LA time. So we're going to have to just wait and see. And I think the Rams, this is going to be one of my best bets. I think the Rams, like, just steamroll this game. They win by a touchdown, in my opinion. Nothing really about the Saints impressed me that much for me to think they have a chance at winning this game. And the Rams, they weren't even running with Todd Gurley. And now Todd Gurley's probably going to get some real snaps. He's going to play a lot more. Todd Gurley at his best running back in football, no debate about that. So we're going to have to wait and see.
I agree with Max, but Max is saying this because he hates Drew Brees.
No.
I'm saying this because I really just think the Rams are going to win by, like, a touchdown.
That's not even just Drew Brees. Like, I don't like their secondary.
You don't like Cam Jordan. You don't like the Saints as a team.
I don't. Like, I just don't.
I don't know why. Like,
their secondary
they did nothing
sucks.
to you. Like,
Eli Apple is fucking terrible. He literally, like, single-handedly almost fucks up that whole secondary. They got one receiver. And it's Michael Thomas. If Michael Thomas isn't on...
Who's consistent.
He is consistent.
I mean, hey,
he is consistent, but if he's not
Rodgers
on...
got Devontae Adams. He got one receiver, too.
But Aaron Rodgers gets everybody involved. Valdez-Scantling.
Bro, Ted Ginn Jr. got involved last night.
Yeah, but
a QB caught a touchdown last night. Hill.
Yeah, but that's just... Like, Sean Payton's just a weirdo. Like, Sean Payton, like, loves... That's like his son or something. You know what I mean? Like, Taysom Hill is like the coach's son. Where he's like, he plays quarterback and running back, and he's a receiver, and he plays defense.
Might play DN.
And you're like, bro, I'm better than this guy. Why am I not playing? He's like, that's my son. Like, you guys faith in him for some reason. I think Jarney loves Taysom Hill a lot for some reason.
He probably does.
Like, that's his guy, but I don't know. Taysom Hill is just... Anyways, let's get into the Falcons-Eagles. So, this is actually, like, a big game for the Falcons. The Eagles... You know, it's a big game for them too, obviously. But the Falcons, this is like a double revenge spot. Last year they got embarrassed opening night. Well, not embarrassed, but, you know, they lost. And then, obviously, the Eagles eventually beat the Falcons 2 years ago to get to the NFC Championship game. So the Falcons, like, they really got to prove themselves because right now the Eagles have their number. But one thing I will say is this the first time the Falcons play Wentz. Because usually the Falcons, so far, they're 0-2 against Nick Foles. They lose to the Nick Foles Eagles, which, granted, everybody loses to the Nick Foles Eagles. So can we see the Falcons potentially win versus Carson Wentz? Now, this is like the true test for the Falcons. And plus, they're at home for this game. Sunday Night Football, Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, yada, yada. You can name everybody on the team, but they just don't get it done. But can they actually do it for the first time? I actually got a bold prediction. This is the start of a quick Falcons 5-game win streak. They play the Eagles. They're going to win that game, in my opinion. Then they play the Colts. They're going to win. The Titans are going to win. Texans are going to win. Cardinals are going to win. So quick 5-game win streak. Falcons 5-1 before you know it, before you even blink an eye. And things are really going to start getting rolling after that. So, Malik, what are your thoughts on Falcons-Eagles? Because you said you think the Eagles win this.
Everything you said was cap, bro. Like you said, they can't get it done. I'm not like...
But this is the game to get it done.
He said stop fucking lying, stupid.
Bro, they cannot get it done.
Yeah.
Bro,
they're going to get it done.
How?
They're going to get it done because this team is just... There's too much talent everywhere. Like,
bro,
there's
how
too
Max
much
feels...
talent everywhere.
How
they
Max
lost
feels...
to the Vikings, bro. The Vikings are a good team, like, in every aspect. And the Falcons lost the turnover battle by a shit ton. they had like fumbles and they weren't. Kirk Cousins fumbled twice, but they didn't get the recovery.
What? That's their excuse for losing? Don't fucking fumble the ball.
But it's just like if you lose the turnover battle, you're probably not going to win the football game. Like,
So
that's
they should have
usually how
lost
it goes.
Bro, how Max feels about the Saints, I feel about the Falcons, bro. The Falcons they're overrated. Then Julio's not. But Matt Ryan, bro, Calvin's not. Calvin's not.
A beast.
Matt Ryan, like, that whole icy, like, get that shit out of here. He's not gonna. Him against Wentz is gonna be good to see, though. I want to see that, but I'm taking Wentz.
I don't think the Eagles' secondary is any like the Eagles' defense is nothing to talk home about either. Because look, the Redskins, like, say what you want, the Redskins were cooking them, and it wasn't like they just got lucky or something. Like the Redskins were legit picking them apart. Man. Case Keenum was picking them apart. Even last year, before they bought Foles in, the Eagles had like one of the worst defenses in the NFL for like a good 7 weeks. It's the same exact defense. Granted, their D-line's okay and their O-line's okay, but Wentz, unless he's pulling out some, rabbit out of a fucking magician's hat like he used to do 2 years ago when he was about to win the MVP, you're not going to see that again. Wentz looked like a step off to me. I don't like anything about the Eagles. I think this is a good game for the Falcons. If they lose this, the Falcons, granted, they could still pull off the 4-game win streak, but that's just a tough loss. You don't want to see that. This is a really important game for the Falcons. I'd be shocked if they don't turn up and win this game. At least drop like 30. Like I expect them to drop a lot of points in this game. But Johnny, how do you feel about Matt Ryan?
Hey, I'm taking Falcons. I don't see the Falcons.
They're gonna lose now.
Yeah, Johnny's picking them. That could be dangerous. You don't want to see that.
Johnny, how do you feel about Matt Ryan though?
I don't think Matt Ryan is the right.
Thank you.
He's not terrible.
He's not terrible.
You could win a Super Bowl with Matt Ryan.
With Julio and Calvin Ridley and I forgot the running back.
Devontae Freeman.
Freeman had that one good season, and then he got hurt, and then I don't think I've heard.
Wait, which season? The season they went to the bowl?
He was a beast in that season.
Before that season,
he was pretty good the season they went to the Super Bowl.
He was hurt last year. That's why you didn't hear about him. He was hurt early, week 1. And they were running fucking Tevin Coleman, and Coleman's like a second string.
He's definitely not the same. No,
I mean,
I do see the Falcons having a good game though.
And that defense, look, the reason that the Vikings even scored like that was because of straight turnovers and just like one big play. Really, that Falcons defense is like a typical bend don't break defense. Like they'll do their job. I don't know. I like this game. We're gonna get into that though. Let's get into the best bets. We all got our bets to brag about. Let's do a quick update of record. Jarny's sitting at 5-4. He lost last week on the Saints -7. Can't bet against Deshaun Watson, man. 18-10. I'm sitting at 18-10 right now. I ended up winning the Texans bet, so that kind of saved me a little bit. Malik's at 10-5. He won his parlay barely. Last second 58-yard field goal for the parlay, and then Ty's sitting at 15-6. Malik, give your best bets first since you got the Thursday night football game.
I got Panthers -6.5. That I'm not worried about that. The Bucs, they're gonna turn the ball over. They should. If they don't, I would be surprised. I'm expecting Winston to play bad like he always does, and the Panthers defense is kind of slept on to me.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
They're a good defense. They got this dude from Johnny. What's the dude from London that was in the show?
The black guy?
Yeah, from London.
Yeah, I have no clue what his name is, but he's on the Panthers, right?
He is nice, bro. Even in against the Rams, bro, he didn't get sacks, but he was getting away from him, bro. He is nice. And I got the Chiefs -7.5. I gotta go with my Chiefs. They're playing the Raiders. The Raiders' defense did look good.
They lost their safety, Jonathan Abrams, who was like a beast. He was playing with a separated shoulder for 3/4 of the game, He said, my shoulder hurt, I'm just going to use my other shoulder. He probably would still play in this game if he could. But the medical staff was like, hell no, you can't do that.
Raiders defense, they did look good, but then again, they were playing the Broncos, and Joe Flacco was he made them look better than what they was, to me, at least.
Back-to-back road games for the Chiefs, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too worried. We don't have Tariq Hill, but Sammy Watkins better step up.
He's been doing his job.
I think we're gonna see McCoy actually get some more touches now.
Yeah, he's
actually get involved. Yeah.
One thing I will say though about the Panthers game. So tonight, Jameis Winston. I always call him Jameis. I always call him. That's how his name is spelled. Like that. Don't spell your name like that. That's not how your name is spelled. Winston's minus 225 to throw a pick tonight.
Let's go.
He's like a lock to throw a pick tonight, technically. So we're gonna see about that. Ty, what's your best bet?
My best bet for this week is we got the Cowboys minus 5.5 versus the Redskins. You know, Cowboys coming off a monster week 1 against the Giants, but I mean that's nothing to really brag about. We got Case Keenum here coming in. I don't expect him to have that good of a performance this week as he did last week. This is really a lock. I don't know how that Redskins defense is going to hold up against the Cowboys offense. They didn't even look too good against the Eagles offense, so I got Cowboys minus 5.5. Expect Dak Prescott to have another monster game as well.
Damn.
Dak
pretty
Prescott.
High on Dak, man.
He said it's a lock. I don't know.
He won't have a perfect passer rating or nothing, but he's going to have a good game.
I can see that.
I mean, they got Randall. Randall Cobb is like so good for that team. Like it's insane. Yeah. When I saw him, I was like, wait, Randall Cobb?
Right.
Like what the fuck? Like it's not some other Cobb. Like
man, the myth.
that was insane. Johnny, do you have a best bet?
Yeah, I got Tennessee minus 3 against the Colts. I'll take that.
I like that.
I like that.
I actually
That's a
like
good
that.
bet.
Yeah.
Tennessee's at home.
You're not taking the Pats minus 19 against the Dolphins?
That's going to fucking steamroll Miami, bro. It's not going to be like last year with that shitty-ass fucking flea
I
flicker.
forgot about that.
That was so funny. I remember FaceTiming Johnny after that, and I was just like, Kenyon Drake! Because I had him in DraftKings.
I had three TV set up, and just each TV was playing it. Like, just one by one.
Different views.
Red Zone literally, like, paused everything and showed the replay, like, 7 times.
Exactly. That was like
it was so funny. Let's get into my bets. So I got 4 bets here, so hoping to go 3-1.
Sheesh.
2-2 is like, maybe 4-0. Can't you can never be too sure. But I got the Giants plus 110. They play the Bills. I'm not high on the Bills at all. Like their team just isn't really good. I don't expect Josh Allen to pick apart the secondary like Dak did. Granted, Giants offense is looking a little shaky without Sterling Shepard potentially because of the concussion symptoms. But they still got a good offense. Evan Ingram, Saquon Barkley. I expect this to be like a gritty game. 2 defenses kind of going at it. That Giants secondary, it really cannot get much worse than what we just saw. And against the Cowboys, they played good. I think officiating and just big play after big play kind of killed the Giants. So Pat Shurmur, he's a defensive-minded coach. I expect him to fix that up a little bit. We're gonna have to wait and see. I mean, the Bills. I'm just not high on the Bills. Giants are at home. They shouldn't be an underdog versus the Bills. If this was like Giants minus 3, probably wouldn't bet it, but underdog money here, I got to take that. I'm taking the Jaguars plus 9 over the Houston Texans. Not like in love with this. I'm betting on Gardner Minshew, which really isn't like
crazy.
Which isn't the best betting advice in the world, but plus 9 or even 9.5 is just absolutely insane. That's way too many points. Division game. Texans are coming off that Saints game, which was bananas, obviously. So Deshaun Watson, I don't really expect Deshaun Watson to be 100%. I mean, he was in that medical tent all day. And, he's going to have some issues. That O-line sucks, by the way. And the Jags got some good defensive backs. I'm sure they're going to be getting to Watson a little bit. As long as they limit the big plays, as long as there's not like 3 big touchdowns for the Texans, I think Gardner Minshew could do his job and, get a touchdown or 2. And, with Leonard Fournette, grind out the clock. I expect the Texans to win by a touchdown, maybe a little bit less, but plus 9 is just a lot of points here. So got to gamble on that and hope that defense is better for week 2. Rams minus 2.5. This is my favorite bet of all these bets. Probably my favorite bet of the NFL season so far. It probably will be that way for a while. Like I love the Rams here. The Saints scheduling, off that Monday night game, flying to L.A., that's not easy by any means. Rams just cooking stuff. Like, Goff's going to get a little bit better. They're going to play Gurley this week. That week 1 against Carolina, that was a preseason game for them, literally. They had no starters playing in the preseason. So, playing at home, off that good win against Carolina, Saints are going to be a little bit banged up coming off that Monday night game. I really like the Rams here. I'd be shocked if they don't win this game by a field goal. And then last but not least, I got the Falcons. As for reasons I stated earlier,
Boo.
do or die game for them. Double revenge spot for them. they're at home finally, and Atlanta has a good crowd, man. Mercedes-Benz Stadium, they get rowdy there. That's no joke at all. I really would be shocked if the Falcons don't pull something off here and steal a good win. I'm just not high on the Eagles, man. Wentz is kind of whatever to me right now. He's not like impressive. He didn't look impressive in Week 1, obviously. Granted he got some touchdowns, but without Deshaun Jackson, you take away those couple Deshaun Jackson plays, like he was not good, to be quite frank.
But
Their
can't
secondary,
take it away, bro.
No, you can't. But Deshaun Jackson never does good after Week 1. If you ever have you noticed that he only does good Week 1? He did the same shit last year with the Bucs.
Nah, he was good the first couple weeks.
Yeah,
he was good like 5 weeks in a row, bro.
But he's not going to do.
I dropped him Week 6.
He's not going to do that same thing. I promise that.
I dropped him Week 6. No one picked him up. No one picked him up.
Which makes sense because that's how he rolls. And he was on the Bucs last year. He was killing it on the Bucs like Week 1. He did the same exact thing.
That whole team was just a fluke, though. That Fitzmagic shit, like.
Well, I mean, hey,
whole team was
that's what they were
crazy.
doing. But yeah, I mean, the Falcons. This is a do or die game for them, man. They got to pull something here. I would be shocked if they lose too. Falcons and Rams are my favorite bets. If I could do like units on here, I would do 2 units on the Rams and Falcons, and then 1 on the Jags and Giants. Not in love with the Jags or Giants by any means. I just think it's like value plays. But Rams and Falcons, those are some certified good NFL plays. So thank you guys as always for listening. Be sure to follow us on social media, Twitter and Instagram at TU Sports Pod. You could also listen to us at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podbean, basically wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be back Monday to review the Browns-Jets game and recap some of the Sunday games and get back on our best, see how we did. Thank you all for listening. I'm Brock and I'm out.
I'm leaking. I'm out.
I'm tying them out.
We're everywhere and anywhere. I'm Johnny and I'm out.